Okay. How's my sound there? Right, so oh, I've got an echo. Okay. Can you turn off your speakers for a moment? Thank you. Hey. Hmm. How's it? No. Okay, good. And the echo has stopped. Very good. Thank you. All right. So I want to give my warm welcome to all gathered here today for our celebration of the 14th Annual International Bhikkhuni Day. I am Bhikkhuni Kachayana at Dhamma Monastery, and I'm here to introduce and welcome all of you. So, International Bhikkhuni Day, this is the celebration of the lunar anniversary of the founding of the Bhikkhuni Sangha. 2,608 years ago, our great founding mother, Mahat Prajapati Gautami, requested and received ordination as a bhikkhuni from the Buddha. And so we're celebrating today. You can see her picture right over Ayasobana's shoulder there, honoring that foremother of ours. And this is an opportunity today to hear from some of our contemporary bhikkhunis about the theme of manifesting the Buddha's vision for bhikkhunis. What does it take? We had announced that Bhante Sudaso also would be joining us today. He was not able to make it, but we have here today Ayasopana Terry, our our vice abbess at Dhamma. Also Ayasuvijana from Pasati Vihara in Washington State, in Olympia. And also Ayahimsa Bhikkhuni coming to us from Canmore, Theravada Buddhist Monastery in Alberta, Canada. And so I also want to share greetings from Dhammadini's founding abbess Ayatataloka. She's not here today, but I know she's here in spirit and wishing all of us well, many blessings to all of us, and delighted that we're going ahead with this celebration of International Bhikkhuni Day. She's at our forest hermitage right now at Aranya Bodhi. Also, you don't see on the screen right now, but we will have with us Venerable Dhamma Nusari. She's going to be sitting here with us, but she's recorded a video to share with us in honor of this day, her Dhamma reflection. So the program for today we'll actually start with a little bit of meditation, which Ayasobana will lead for us. And then we will be moving on to Dhamma reflections from Ayasuvijana, from Ayahimsa, from Venerable Dhammanusari, from Ayasopana, and then we'll have some time for questions and answers at the end. So warm welcome to all of you. Happy to see so many of you here, old friends and new. I see people still popping in. But I think with this, I will turn it over to Ayasopana. I will give you the mic back and you can turn your speakers back on.
Dear friends, let's
Sorry, that was my fault. Go ahead, Sam.
now.
No?
No, there is not lack of echoing. Let's sit together in silent meditation. I would suggest thinking of a practice of loving kindness, compassion, and sympathetic joy, and equanimity, considering our relationship to the Sangha, the ordained Sangha, and the fourfold Sangha of the bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, devoted male and female disciples, lay disciples, who are all dedicated to the teachings of our Lord Buddha. Through so many lifetimes, we have been interconnected. So as we meditate inside and outside, we can feel that connection that we have, that relationship. So we rejoice in whatever has been accomplished by the Sangha. We appreciate now. So our own individual success and the success of the community is one thing connected. Wishing for our own success and for the success of the Fourfold Sangha, for the long life of the Buddha Sasana. So now simply sitting in meditation. Now I have the delightful opportunity of introducing Aya Suvijana, Bhikkhuni Terry. Aya Suvijana has been a meditator since 1976. She began in the Zen tradition and was a student of Kobun Chino-Roshi in Los Altos, nearby to here. She was introduced to Vipassana at Santa Cruz Insight. She visited the Abhayagiri Monastery and was a lay student of Ajahn Amaro and Ajahn Pasano for many years, living in Ukiah to be close to that monastery. In 2004, Aya Suvijana was called to monastic life and began searching for a monastery to train in. She visited Amaravati in 2005 and became a student of Aya Tataloka in 2006 at the first Dhamma Dharini Vihara in Fremont. Aya Suvijana received the full ordination as a bhikkhuni in August 2010 at the Aranya Bodhi Hermitage. She has been a key member of Dhamma Dharini for a long time and a leader in establishing many of the regular public Dhamma programs and teaching programs, as well as other beautiful and wholesome aspects of our monastic form were evolved during the time that Aya Suvijana was a active resident here. Since 2020, Aya Suvijana has been on leave from Dhamma Dharini, returning for periods of time and also traveling in the United States, Australia, and New Zealand. In May of 2024, she co-founded the Pasadi Vihara in West Olympia, Washington, together with Venerable Nyanika Bhikkhuni. Aya Suvijana offers the monastic teaching as a part of monastic life when invited. Her love of the Dhamma, monastic life, and focus on the teachings, particularly in the suttas, has been a benefit and a gain for many. Now, I would like to open to you, Aya, to offer your reflections.
How do I? Thank you for inviting me. Can you hear me well enough?
Yes.
Okay, you can hear me? Great. Homage to the Blessed One, the Perfected One, the fully awakened Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Bhuttam dhammam sangham namasami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So we have this inquiry, this something to ponder, the manifesting the Buddha's vision for the Bhikkhunis. And what does it take? What would it take to manifest the Buddha's vision for the Bhikkhunis? So I've been thinking about that, pondering that. And first, we'd have to know what the Buddha had in mind. What was the Lord Buddha's vision for us? And so I think what I believe is that the Buddha had this, I don't know if you'd call it a vision, but suppose a candidate, a person approached the Buddha. What would he see? He would see someone who is suffering. He would see someone who's seeking. So I think that Buddha, being a compassionate being, he would want for them to be relieved from that suffering, to find the way for themselves. The Buddha points the way for us. And so he also would wish for those who went forth to have the supportive conditions, the requisites, safety. He would wish for them to have the teachings available to them, to have time to practice, time to study, time for also being together and as a community. But what would it take to manifest this vision, this opportunity to realize the freedom and liberation that the Buddha points to in his teachings? The physical requisites are a matter of generosity on the part of the lay community, being available, being just like even just walking on the street. I think sometimes this elicits this kind of this leaping up of the generous heart, and so that isn't as big of a concern to me as that what it takes to realize this. What the Buddha really wishes for us is liberation of heart, the knowledge and freedom. And it occurred to me to start looking at well, of course, the suttas are always my reference. And what would the Buddha, if he had a community here today, would he be speaking to us individually or in groups? But we can get clues from the suttas, and I thought to look at the Therigatha. I have something here. So we have this precious opportunity, this precious human life, and then we have precious intellect to be able to apply ourselves to the teachings. And then we also have the human body to apply ourselves to the cushion for meditation. But I think some of this awakening, I believe some of the awakening that occurred during the time of the Buddha was inspired by the word of the Buddha. And it's some of this may be what's these verses in the Therigatha that I'm going to read to you. They're from the first chapter, the Book of Ones. And it's just the first 6. And I'm also going to read the Gautami Sutta. I think, I'm not sure what my timing is. I don't want to go over. But so these are the verses in the Therigatha. And it seems that these are something they may have been reflecting on, the words repeating to themselves what the Buddha may have said to them. So this is the Therigatha. Tumutta. It seems like I'm missing one. I should have another one before that. Oh, well, I have to miss the one at the beginning because no, I think I mislabeled it. This is the first one to Anuttara Bhikkhuni. It's a certain bhikkhuni, unknown, of an unknown name. Sleep softly, little nun. Sleep softly, bhikkhuni. Wrapped up in the cloth you sewed yourself. For your desire has been quelled, like vegetables boiled dry in a pot. And that is how the verse was recited by a certain unnamed bhikkhuni. So this is Bhante Sujato's translation. And this is the elder. Also, this is a translation by Ayasoma. She translated the entire Therigatha. Sleep with ease, elder, wrapped in a rag. Your passion has been appeased, like a dry vegetable in a pot. This is a certain unknown elder bhikkhuni spoke this verse. So the drying up of our desires. They may have been contemplating these teachings that the Buddha had given them, and this was what spurred their awakening. And this is the second in the Therigatha, the second to Mutta. Mutta, be released from your yokes, like the moon released from the eclipse. When your mind is released, enjoy your alms free of debt. This is Bhante Sujato's translation. That is how the Buddha regularly advised the trainee nun or bhikkhuni Mutta with these verses. So here it does say that the Lord Buddha was speaking to her, and she must have been reflecting on this, upon which spurred her awakening. So I will read Mutta, Ayasoma's translation. Mutta, free yourself from bondage, like the moon from Rahu's grasp. And with a liberated mind, eat alms free, alms food free of debt. Thus, the Bhagavan often exhorts the trainee Mutta with this verse. So she must have had entered the stream. But if it's in these verses, she must have become an arahant also. So reflecting on the teachings of the Buddha, we have these recorded in writing these days, in English even. And this is to Puna. This is number 3 in the Therigatha. Puna, be filled with good qualities, like the moon on the 15th day. When your wisdom is full, shatter the mass of darkness. So we must develop the wholesome qualities, fill ourselves with the wholesome qualities. And this is this is Ayasoma's, excuse me. The last one is Bhante Sujata's, Ayasoma's translation. Puna, grow full of good qualities, like the moon on the 15th day, full of wisdom. Destroy this mass of darkness. Can memorize the Pali and recite it to oneself again and again, or in English. Grow full of good qualities, like the moon on the 15th day, full of wisdom. Destroy this mass of darkness. And this is to Tisa. Tisa, train yourself with discipline. Do not let bonds tie you down. All bonds are unbound. Walk the world free from influences. That's the influxes, I think. Influences. Sorry about that. This is free from the asawas. This is Tise Sikasu Sikakaya Matam Yoga Upachagum Sabayoga Wisam Yuta Charaloke Anasawati. So this is without the asawas, anasawa. And this is another tisa, Anuttara tisa. These two are I.S. Soma's translation. Tisa, bind yourself to the Dhamma. Waste no time. Those who waste time sorrow when they arrive in hell. Don't waste time. This time is precious. This is what the Buddha is telling us. This is what it takes. Dhira, this is to Dhira. Dhira, touch cessation, the joyful pacification of perception. Attain Nibbana, the utmost safety from bondage. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So this is the first 6. Do I have time still?
Yes, you do have time.
Okay.
Maybe 10 more minutes, maybe?
Oh, okay. I didn't know how much this would take. So this, I think these reflections are part of our practice, and this is some of what it takes is applying ourselves to the teaching. This is why I brought these out, and how it seems that when we look at these the verses of the elders, it's what they said upon awakening, and this is what must have inspired them to awakening. So I think reflecting on even just a short these short passages, these short verses, or something from the discourses that are, in prose. Just the getting into depth, and for me reading again and again and again, studying the suttas, and then having the time for meditation. This is really essential. It's time for seclusion, and this is maybe with the vision the Buddha had, and Bhikkhunis living in community and offering each other time in seclusion, supporting one another in seclusion, is and us just finding it, and us having our determination, our priority. This is our priority to develop the mind, to look at these qualities. Is that we could go back actually and see what the Buddha is saying here, just in these 6, that this unknown bhikkhuni, this Terry, this elder, wrapped in her the Pamsakula robe, the robe she stitched together herself, drying up desire, just allowing this unwholesome quality to fade, to dry up, and to be free from release. This is mutta. Whatever is binding us, understanding the samyoganas, and releasing ourselves from these, what's binding us, release from bondage, and and developing our good qualities. So I'm going through this again quickly just to see how there's this progression here and training ourselves. There's this all, we're looking at what is tying us down, what is binding us to samsara, and releasing ourselves from that. Instead, we bind ourselves to the Dhamma, and we don't waste any time so that we can touch cessation and attain Nibbana. So that's a summary of the first 6. And now I'm going to go to the teaching to Gotami, our great mother. This is the Gotami. This is actually Argentina Ciro's translation. I looked at a few translations and I actually like this one. So we can understand a teaching that the Lord Buddha gave directly to Maha Gotami Terry. I have heard that on one time the Blessed One was staying at Vesali at the peaked roof hall in the great forest. Then Maha Pajapati Gotami went to the Blessed One and, on arrival, having bowed down to him, stood to one side. As she was standing there, she said to him, "It would be good, Lord, if the Blessed One would teach me the Dhamma in brief, such that, having heard the Dhamma from the Blessed One, I might dwell alone, secluded, heedful, ardent, and resolute." So this is how we should practice. Dwelling alone, secluded, heedful, ardent, and resolute. So even daily finding this time, the seclusion, even in the meditation hall with others. Gotami, the qualities of which you may know. These qualities lead to passion, not to dispassion, to being fettered, not to being unfettered, to accumulating, not to shedding, to self-aggrandizement, not to modesty, to discontent, not to contentment, to entanglement, not to seclusion, to laziness, not to arouse persistence, to being burdensome, not to being unburdensome. You may categorically hold, this is not the Dhamma. This is not the Vinaya. This is not the teacher's instruction. So first we look at what is not the Dhamma, what is not supportive to us on the path. And then he continues, as for the qualities of which you may know, these qualities lead to dispassion, not to passion, to being unfettered, not to being fettered, to shedding, not to accumulating, to modesty, not to self-aggrandizement, to contentment, not to discontent, to seclusion, not to entanglement, to arouse persistence, not to laziness, to being unburdensome, not to being burdensome. You may categorically hold, this is the Dhamma, this is the Vinaya, this is the teacher's instruction. That is what the Blessed One said. Gratified Maha Pajapati Gotami delighted at his words. So this is so beautiful. And this is also telling us that we need to look for ourselves and see what's supportive of these conditions. That these are qualities that we should be developing. So it's a list of things to develop and for ourselves to see what's supportive of that and what's hindering it. So the last section we should be developing. So I think this is, I would say, the vision for the Buddha. We can maybe piece together by looking at the suttas. And I believe also that somewhere in the suttas, the Buddha said that to Mahapajapati Gautami that the Bhikkhuni should train as the bhikkhus, the same.
Mm-hmm.
That we should, so there's no difference. We're all human beings. We all have the same defilements. We all have the same work to do. The bodies may be different, but the psyche is not so different. It just conditions. We're conditioned a little differently because of various reasons, but we have the same potential. Everyone has the same potential for knowledge and freedom, for complete liberation of the heart. So I'd like to offer this for your reflection and really appreciate everyone on the path, be they in the lay form or monastic form. We all have this potential. So I offer this for your reflection.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I'm going to go straight ahead and introduce Aya Ahimsa. And as we roll along, it may be that you'll notice that the Bhikkhunis are talking from the same songbook and giving different aspects of the very same message, because we are all under the same training. And so I think you may hear us responding to each other. And there will be some time at the end of this program for others who are listening, perhaps to have a few minutes if somebody has got a comment to make about the Buddha's goal for the creation of the Bhikkhuni Sangha and what it takes for us to realize the purpose. Aya Ahimsa had her Anagarika precepts in 2012, Samaneri precepts in 2013, with Aya Medanandi at the Sati Saraniya Hermitage. In 2016, she joined the community at Aloka Vihara Forest Monastery and was given the Bhikkhuni ordination in 2017 with Aya Gunasari Terry as her preceptor. She trained for 6 years with the community at the Aloka Vihara and then had the very fortunate opportunity to return to her home country of Canada. She now lives at the Canmore Theravada Buddhist Community Monastery in Alberta. I would invite you to please go ahead and offer your reflections.
Thank you so much, Aya Sobana, and thank you so much for this invitation. And to everyone here, respects and greetings. Thank you for those reflections. Suvijana, just cannot go wrong reading from the Therigatha. Yeah, very, very inspiring. And I'm almost saying the same thing as you. So, anyway, I'll begin. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang Dhammang Sanghang Namasami. yeah, to speak to why it's important for the presence of monasticism in society is sort of to state the obvious. When in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, when the Buddha is close to death, Venerable Ananda, his attendant, is nervous and concerned and is thinking that now we'll have no teacher. And it's one of those, bless Ananda's heart, not so, Ananda, not so. And the Buddha goes, no, don't think like that. What I've taught and what I've explained, the Dhamma and the discipline, that will be your teacher. So there's living Dhamma, which each Buddhist, each practitioner is carrying forth. And then this lived Vinaya, which each monastic is carrying forth. This is what is keeping the Buddhist dispensation going and what is passing it from generation to generation. Also, monastics, they're described in the suttas as being the Deva Duta. We are the heavenly messenger, and we are an archetype. We symbolize something different. And many of you may very well remember when you first saw a monastic of any sort. It's a striking experience, and it has it leaves an impression. Ayasuvijana was talking about this, the psyche. Yeah, it leaves an impression on the psyche and on the heart and often for many people, it can be an inspiration to start a noble search, to start going a different direction in your life, with your life force, with your energies. A monastic is symbolizing the highest human potential. They're prayerfully a symbol of peace, and definitely a symbol of renunciation. That we're going a different direction. The direction of the world is a going out, and the direction of monasticism is a going in. The direction of the world is an acquiring, and the direction of a monastic is a relinquishing. And this is an essential archetype for us to have in society. And then to speak to why we need it in the female form is also to state the obvious. First of all, this is what the Buddha did envision, like Ayasuvijana was saying. This is what he set up. And then we can just use our common sense and look at nature. There's such a need for diversity, and this is what keeps things in balance. And this is one of our current challenges of the pruning away, the disappearance of diversity, of eco-diversity, of linguistic diversity, of cultural diversity. These are all very, very important. And it's important in the monastic sangha, in the examples of shaven head robed people, that there's diversity in ages and in races and of course in gender. This is an essential thing. And so wonderfully, we're at a time in this Buddha dispensation that there's becoming a presence of fully ordained female monastics. And we've all had experience with that. It's here. Here we are. I'm looking at some. I personally remember the first time I ever met a nun. It was Ajahn Chandasuri, who was one of the founding Siladhara nuns at the Amaravati monastery in England. And she actually has relatives in the city that I grew up in and was living in, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And she had been teaching at Spirit Rock, and she was visiting those relatives in Vancouver, and I had the honor to pick her up at the airport. And I was jumping out of my skin. I was so excited to meet her. And then driving her in my car, I'm just staring at her like, I've got a nun in my car, I've got a nun in my car. And I came so close to crashing into the car in front of me. I am not exaggerating. Very, very close. I scared poor Ajahn Chandasiri, but so then I kept my eyes on the road. But many of us probably remember that when we first saw a monastic, and perhaps if we're in female form, many of us will definitely remember when we first saw a female monastic. Which brings us to, okay, we're here, there's a presence, and I just want to echo everything that Ayya Suvijana has shared. This is the same thing that wells up in my heart when I think about the Bhikkhuni Sangha. I think about this next phase that it will just continue, that the cultivation and the development of the Bhikkhunis will continue, not just in breadth, not just in numbers, but more importantly for me at this point is in depth and in true cultivation of deep meditation and powerful insights and deep, thorough knowledge of the Pali Canon. And in order for that to happen, we need support, and we need supportive conditions. And I know for me, I'm going back, more than a dozen years ago. But if I think about the first time that I began to explore taking ordination and entering the monastic form and visiting different monasteries, I saw incredible women, and they were working very, very hard. And there was not as much time, like Ayya Suvijana was mentioning. There wasn't as much time for this inner cultivation, partly because there just was so much work to do in terms of building up an infrastructure. And so I think that the need of the time is for more and more support for Bhikkhunis in terms of time in seclusion, time for retreat, time for meditation, time for study. When I first did the circuit, which a lot of us do, I was a bit overwhelmed by the tenuousness of the situation. And I remember returning home and saying to my mother, it's a bit of a catch-22, like that situation when you first graduate and you're looking for a job and you get told, well, you need experience to get a job. It's like, I need a job to get experience. It felt like that the Bhikkhunis were needing more material support and more I guess even more help with all of the building up of the infrastructure. And but the thing that really brings support is depth of practice. This is when support often will start to really pour in because it's so inspiring. So I think that we're through those rough first years, and yet I still feel, and right now I'm talking to people that have come to the International Bhikkhuni Days. I'm talking to all the people that are already doing what I'm talking about, of just actually like with your life force and your material possibilities, supporting Bhikkhunis. But I just want to share my situation now because it's such an inspiring example. It inspires me deeply. I feel like now I'm living with a modern day Visakha. And I wanted to show, that's why I'm actually standing. But I wanted to show this is where I live now. This is was a person's home, and it's on a double lot, and just miraculously, because of their values, they maintained a forest completely in the front of the house. And the woman I'm speaking of, her lay name is Mary Dumka, and the Pali name that a monk gave her a few years ago is Sanghamita, the most appropriate name, friend of the Sangha. And about 14 years ago, Sanghamita, she was married and has no children. And about 14 years ago, her husband suddenly died. He was 61, unexpected. And a year later, she did a trip across Canada, spreading his ashes at very important places significant to him, and with some relatives of his joining. And during that trip, she visited as many monasteries as she could. And it was her first time to visit Sati Sarania Hermitage near Perth, Ontario, near Ottawa. And she met Ayamedanandi. And Ayamedanandi explained to her the dearth of material support for nuns, for Bhikkhunis. And right then and there on that trip, it welled up in Sanghamita's heart to donate her home to become a monastery. And that's what she did. She formed a not-for-profit society and got a board and made a website, and she had 2 kutis built in the backyard of the property, and she converted what was the living room into a beautiful meditation space, and then I just got to land here, and it was all done. And that might not be within arm's reach of anyone that I'm speaking to now, but I want that word to get out. I want that message to get out, that this is a possibility. This is another model. It's different, but it's working. I have an amazing situation, and I'm for my first time in the robes. I'm not involved in building projects. I'm not looking at plans. I'm not installing toilets. I'm not, I have much of my day available for meditation and available for seclusion in my kuti in the backyard. And it's an ideal situation for a bhikkhuni. And I want the world to know, because I think this might inspire others. It's a powerful model, and Visakha in the scriptures, the Buddha praises her as and names her as the foremost female follower, foremost in generosity, and indeed, that's the situation I'm in, and tremendous good fortune, and it's so palpable, just living in this field of goodness, in this field of generosity. So I want to leave it there, just encouraging everyone, any way that you are generous towards the Bhikkhunis is incredibly helpful for us. Really incredible. And I do not think it will, I think that it will continue to produce the beautiful fruit that we're seeing. So thank you again so much for this opportunity to share.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I'm going to move straight ahead and introduce Venerable Dhamma Nusari. She was born in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, later lived in France, and then later than that in Canada. Since 2017, she's been a disciple of the Bhikkhu Venerable Polamure Sorata at the Wat Khmer in Lowell, Massachusetts. And through that connection became associated with Venerable Metta Jivi. She received her seminary precepts from Bhante Sorata in Kandy, Sri Lanka, and became at that time the first Canadian seminary of Cambodian descent. In this case, we become aware of another aspect of the revival of the Bhikkhuni Sangha, country by country. Whoever was the first Bhikkhuni of Sri Lankan descent, the first Bhikkhuni of American descent, the first Bhikkhuni of German descent, the first Bhikkhuni of Canadian descent, and so on. And there's many aspects that are of real significance in the impact on society of those who are those groundbreakers. Venerable Dhamma Nusari, together with Bhikkhuni Aga Dhamma Gavesi in 2018, practiced in Sydney, Australia, Sydney, that's in Canada, Australia. She had the opportunity to take a tudong, which is a traditional walking pilgrimage in Vietnam and Cambodia. And then during that time, had the opportunity of training a group of young novice seminaries aged 6 to 15 years old in the Novice Monastic Education Center in Cambodia, Samanera. She had the opportunity of coming to the Dhamma Darini in 2019 and obtained the connection with Ayatataloka and with our community. And we were here at Dhamma Darini, were able to organize her Bhikkhuni ordination. So she has been alternating periods of time in Cambodia, in Canada, and here in California with us. Her Bhikkhuni ordination was in September 2022. So with that, I'm going to welcome you. Full volume.
So still the mind of my heart learn to watch
Was there no sound or was there low sound? Sound is very faint. Okay, hang on. Just a moment. Let me try again. Share sound. No, okay. Let's start over. Here we go.
Namo Buddhaya. Greeting to everyone. My name is Dhamma Nusare, the Khmer Bhikkhuni.
Okay.
How does the Dhamma teach the
So,
proper
can you hear
way
now?
of life? It shows us to live. It has many ways of showing it. Here I am walking every day at Aranya Bodhi Hermitage. In a peace of mind, I see rocks, stone, tree, all dead trees. It is a teaching, but not in words. So still, the mind of my heart learn to watch, and I find a right Dhamma revealing itself, little bit at a time. This moment, a stump of redwood tree in front of me looked like since long ago, as you see this photo. But the nourishment of the 5 elements, earth, water, air, fire, space, have made this little blossom redwood tree growing back again. Just like the Dhamma of Tathagata Buddha, never end or wipe out as long as we study his lesson. Our body are same, it use of 5 elements. We must use them right place and time, and useful for wholesome state of mind. While when I came to ordain to Samanere, many of them look at me, a strain to my community because they think Bhikkhuni no exists no more. Even I receive high ordination, many still criticize me. I stay silent like stone, rock, tree. I remain silent. Just learn to practice Buddha Dhamma. Now look at the second photo of upside down growing chatil. This chatil is the name of Khmer tree. The legacy of our Oknya Sungkui, a famous Khmer leader, before he was taken to execute for trying to preserve the Khmer culture and way of life. His last word, monk venerables, citizen, defend, protect our Buddhist religion, guide and preserve the national sovereignty, liberty. This word make me think of the Buddha before he go to Nibbana. He want to make sure his 4 disciples are strong, Bhikkhu, Bhikkhuni, Upasak, Upasika. Now I encourage all the young women or old that may want to walk this path, be strong. As I know, some of them are stuck with the mud of the lotus pond. Some are stuck between the lotus leaf. Some have grown through the surface of the water. But some, like us, have pushed out from the water to the sun. Which lotus do you want? Here 4 of us pushing far from the surface of the water. We don't want fish, turtle to get by us. There's a word in Pali. Uppanna Thwamya, Anupanna Thwamya, Upadino Thwamya. ពួកធម៌កើតឡើងហើយពួកធម៌មិនទាន់កើតពួកធម៌នឹងកើត Uppanna Dhamma, Anupanna Dhamma, Upadino Dhamma. Dhamma have arisen, Dhamma have not arisen. Dhamma that are bound to arise. Thank you for listening.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I believe that. I believe. I believe that it's now my turn to say something, perhaps responding to these beautiful sharings that have been given by my colleagues. My, in a way, I guess I can say my younger sisters in the Dhamma. Since I have had the happiness to know and meet all of you before you had obtained the full Bhikkhuni form. I'm going to also recite a verse. This is called the Nymphs verse. It's from the verse section of the Samyutta Nikaya. The path is called straight. Without fear is the destination. The carriage is called silent, accompanied by the wheel of Dhamma. Conscience is the brake, and mindfulness the upholstery. I call Dhamma driver, and right view runs ahead of it. And whether it be a woman or whether it be a man, whoever travels by this carriage shall draw close to Nibbana. There was a time many years ago in which I felt the struggles related to gender and to feeling whether it was easy to be fully accepted or to have the opportunity to practice using this female form. And I at one time, I noticed in the suttas, even some things in the suttas seemed to be, to me, at that time, to be somewhat prejudiced. For example, when Ratapala said to his former wives that they were just tricked out garbage covered with paint. And, like those young girls had been requested to beg him to give up the monk life and return to the lay life by their father-in-law had asked them to make this request. They were innocent. And, that view of the asubha, of the unattractiveness of the human body seemed, difficult. I heard a statement that one of the things that was really a tremendous hardship of having the human form is that a human being has to spend the first 9 months of their life in a totally disgusting place of being inside the womb of a woman. I read that women have a particular kind of suffering because when they're young, they or when they marry, they have to leave the home of their parents and go to the home of their in-laws, and then they have the pain and the danger of pregnancy and childbirth. And I read that Lady Visakha, who was one of the most powerful, noble, royal lay women in the entire kingdom, who was a tremendous donor to the Sangha. She was so abundant in wealth, so powerful, had so many followings, had so much spiritual power. And there's a sutta in which the Buddha advised her that she should become skillful in sewing. And So these things just troubled me a lot. I did, but when I did a study, what I found was that basically in the realm of where we start out in our lay life, before we wake up, the way that women, the dukkha of womanhood is one thing, and then there's a dukkha of manhood, which is also something else. So the woman has to go and live with her in-laws, but the man can be drafted and be sent to the military to have to go to war. So which one is the greater dukkha? There's a special dukkha for the different status, the different class, the different backgrounds that people can come to. But as they grow closer and closer to awakening, as they obtain the noble attainments, then those differences wash away, and the gender, or the difference between the genders, becomes so irrelevant. There was another occasion that I was recalling as I reflected about this. In 2003, I think it was 2003, I had a chance to meet Venerable Kusama, who was a very powerful, well-educated leader among the modern Bhikkhunis. She had been ordained with the first group of Sri Lankan Bhikkhunis to get the full ordination in 1996, and had been just a force, a tremendous force. She'd been an accomplished academic scholar beforehand, was very well respected, and the success of the entire Bhikkhuni Sangha in Sri Lanka is very much related to her leadership. So she came to West Virginia, where I was staying, and gave a Dhamma talk. There was a certain like a shock element that still was happening between the genders, because so many of the young bhikkhus had never met a senior, highly accomplished bhikkhuni. They might have met bhikkhunis who were like very young, or samanneris, women who were very young and junior in their training, but they had not met a bhikkhuni who had that kind of authority. The talk that Aya Kusama gave was about the 6 internal and external sense bases and the fetter that arises from that. The talk was 100% standard. Any highly accomplished master of the Dhamma could have given exactly the same talk. Her talk was fresh, personal, and direct. It wasn't just reciting something that had been read out in a book, and yet it could have been found almost word for word in the suttas, because her whole entire mind and her whole psychology, her whole thinking had become completely integrated with the Buddha's path of teaching as it was given in the suttas. So then, just as was mentioned by Aya Savijana at the beginning, and by Ahimsa and the others, the training, the path, what we aspire to is one thing. It's universal, and it's way beyond the distinctions of gender. However, the Buddha, in his compassion, wanted to establish a tradition that would last for a long time. It was because of that he not only taught the concepts of the Dhamma, but he also established the precepts and practices of the Vinaya, and established a Sangha that had the ability to stay alive and vital, and to pass the lineage onward to learn the teachings and to accurately convey the teachings down, so that through the generations, the teachings would be passed along, and we still have the opportunity to encounter a living tradition of Buddhism. I don't know if anybody here thinks that you could have come to be reach the goal by reading something in a book that had been uncovered from a cave somewhere. It's possible, but to encounter a living tradition is so precious, and to have a living tradition that is really for everybody, which can make a real connection, regardless of caste, color, gender, or nationality, or language, or social class, that there is something in these teachings that can reach out and be accessible and recognized by any person who's got the motivation and the conditions to be able to hear, understand, and to make the sincere effort. So then having the presence of the Fourfold Sangha, including Bhikkhus and Bhikkhunis, and also having a Sangha which is diverse and goes all over the world, is a way that it's possible for Buddhism to stay alive and to be accepted and recognized in these modern times. The sasana, the Buddha sasana, has been in danger several times throughout history because of war, famine, disease, and the tides of history. There have been times that there have been dangers that the Buddhism could have been crushed. But because Buddhism is so broad and international, it's able to be replanted and revived and revitalized. So worldwide Buddhism is not just something that's happening in modern times. It's something that's been happening throughout the history of the Buddha Sasana. And that's what keeps Buddhism alive and vital. So my wish for all of us is that the particular circumstance that each individual has, where you came from, what kind of education you had, what kind of cultural background you had, whatever your gender is, whatever your position in society is, that you will have the opportunity for that which is conditioned, part of the conditioned world, to encounter the timeless, unconditioned Dhamma. And it's through that encounter, through that meeting of our conditioned self that we bring to the unconditioned, that then it's the possibility for a realization to happen. The Bhikkhuni Sangha then is essential to making, sustaining the conditions that make it as possible, as widely as possible, for anybody, anywhere, to be able to have a chance for that realization. So this is my brief reflection.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
I have a little bit of chanting to play, which takes 5 minutes, but I think I'd like to pause right now and see whether any of the people in the audience would like to add a very brief question or comment responding to what was spoken about today. Oh, okay, Sheila.
Good afternoon, IA. I would just like to acknowledge and my gratefulness for the generosity of the Bhikkhunis who I have met and know. There is no way that my practice and who I have become could have happened without every one of you in this program and others. So sadhu, sadhu, sadhu for your presence. It is so, my heart is just more than full right now. And I just thank you all. Everyone, thank you.
You're welcome. Marilyn?
Yes, I'll just be brief, but and probably repeat what Sheila said. But when Ahimsa was talking about the first time she met a female bhikkhuni, I remember as well the first time I met one. It was here in Canmore. It was I am a Hanandi, and I remember how nervous I was and didn't really want to talk to her. And Sangamita was saying, "There's going to be an opportunity for interviews. Go, go, go." And so I didn't get on the list. So the next day she put me on the list, and I remember going in and being so nervous. And then just in that moment, there was this heart connection that was so overwhelming, and just an experience I had never had before. So that encounter and being with Sangamita and now the monastery with Ahimsa has changed my life remarkably. And I'm sorry for the phone, but I can't reach it. But yeah, it's just been a significant impact on my life and how I'm living my life and trying to make changes slowly, step by step. But it's just been a remarkable experience for me, and I'm so grateful. All the ayahs.
Okay. Richard?
Thank you, Aya. I guess it was the initial idea that what did the Buddha want for his Bhikkhunis? I think we can see this clearly in Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 146, the Nanda Kovada Sutta. Now, in the Pali version, it gets divided into two sections where Nanda Kovada is asked to go and speak to the Bhikkhunis again. But we know in the Agama, it doesn't have this second repetition. And it's kind of interesting because in the first section, he asks the Bhikkhunis, okay, he tells them something, he says, okay, do you understand this? And they say, oh yeah, we understand that because we are noble disciples. Well, noble disciples are stream enterers and above. And then at the very end, so let's assume there isn't this second session. Let's assume that the Bhikkhunis then go and pay homage to the Buddha and leave. And then the Buddha turns to the bhikkhus and say, you know, even the least of these bhikkhunis is a stream enterer. So I think what Buddha is trying to convey to the bhikkhus is, don't have this patriarchal attitude. We're in the noble sangha now. Everyone can achieve these things and go on even to become arahants. And but this also shows what was Buddha's inclination for the bhikkhunis. He wanted them to become noble disciples and go on and ultimately achieve, you know, arahantship. So anyways, that's just my opinion. You can accept or reject it if you like, but thank you for listening.
Ananaya?
Well, first of all, thank you all for your inspiring talks. It's always wonderful to hear you, and especially Ahimsa is a little farther away now. I mean, thankfully we can hear her on. And I just want to also express my gratitude that my practice, follow on what she was saying, my practice would be almost nowhere without my affiliation with the Bhikkhunis, and having the opportunity, in my case, of living pretty close to one. I just can't imagine. When I was able still to go to long retreats at Forest Refuge in Massachusetts, and at the end of the retreat, I'd occasionally talk to someone, fellow retreatant, and they would say, "Oh, you're so lucky," because they were in various parts, I say like Philadelphia, different parts of the country. And while they may have had a meditation group nearby, there were no opportunities for them to actually meet Bhikkhunis and participate in a sangha, in a monastery situation. So I hope that, as I am very old now, I hope that this really, that there will be more and more people who will have, monastics who will have Bhikkhunis that will have this experience of ahimsa. That's really just a wonderful thing. It makes such a difference in their lives not to have to be so concerned with activities of daily living, etc. So thank you all again.
I'm going to go to the chanting. Sorry.
Angatana If you're not making $158,000 per year, you'd like to, I strongly encourage you to start a bookkeeping business.
Friends, yes, hold on, this was the one of the versions of the chant of the qualities of the foremost Arahanta Bhikkhunis, and that concludes the formal part of this program. I'm going to think we can bring the stream to its end and leave this open for a few more minutes if